Um, Often people have asked me if which one of my projects has been more challenging, whether it was the Temple of India or um, terraces. Um, you know, uh, Temple of India it is a very, very unique structure. A shell structure of that scale, it's very unusual, and it has never been built in the world with in-place concrete. Normally, if it is done by shotcrete, which is a very different quality of concrete. And this, from many points of view, it is the example of the shell structure in the world. In fact, I had a lecture in Princeton School of Architecture, and one of the distinguished architects was asked by the university to be the critic of my talk. He was the head of the office of Louis Kahn. Louis Kahn was a magnificent master of architecture in the United States, and his work in all over the world, it's really unique. He's a great, really master builder. We have one of his monuments, one of his buildings in San Diego. In many places in India, he has some outstanding buildings, and there are lots of really books and praise about his work. He was Dean of the School of Architecture of Yale, and very, very important architect, of which architects would have been proud to be his student. He has died, but his office still functions under his name. The gentleman that was supposed to talk said that in his when he opening talk, he said that I had intended to criticize this design, and I had prepared some material. But after I heard the presentation of Mr. Sahba, I realized that he said, all of my life, I thought shell structure is not achievable. It's completely, we have to forget about it. But now I see with my own eyes that the things that the best technology of the West failed to achieve has been achieved with most primitive methods of structure, of construction in a country like India, where concrete by itself is a very rare to see a quality work. Although some masters of architecture, such as Louis Kahn, as well as Le Corbusier, have done some masterpieces in India. They are not known for good concrete. In fact, they are really bad concrete, although the design is a masterpiece. Anyhow, so what we achieved, what we wanted to do in India with white concrete, with that kind of elegance, with that kind of scale and dimensions, it was very, very unusual and unique. And it's a miracle that has happened. And after that also, although now 35 years have passed from, 34 years have passed from its opening, still remains the edge of the concrete technology. And it's, for that point of view, it was very difficult for us to be able to realize it. The other challenges in a country like India is the labor work, is the fact that technology, equipment, machineries do not exist. And all of that were really challenges: the temperature, extraordinary um, harsh climate, rain of monsoon, heat of summer, up to 50 degrees Celsius at construction site, quality control. All of them are miracles. But thanks God, we have done it with the really sacrifice of many people, that they work so hard in that harsh climate. One of them, my dear brother Kamal, that is on the line. You can see his face, and now he's in Australia. But the Mount Carmel projects, although the buildings are state-of-art quality, technology and the structure, style and structure design are not something very unusual. It is something that has been achieved before, and we have but our challenges were different. Our challenges was, one, quality control due to a very dramatic landscape, very steep slope of the mountain, management problems of building in a country that often there was, during the construction, we had wars, we had emergency situations, we had shortage of material, shortage of labor. Our site goes through 4 major streets of the city. One of them is one of the major streets of the city that connects the center to downtown. And it's in fact the only arteries in this area that allows you to cross this section of the Mount Carmel. Then we wanted to excavate hundreds of thousands of cubic meter of earth, move it on this very difficult traffic zone, narrow streets where every movement on the plan was a real challenge and real difficulty. Working with Arabs, Jews, Israelis, Turks, Chinese as our laborers. Otherwise, if you want to talk about our own Baha'i team, they were maybe from, at a time, sometimes 40 different countries, sometimes even 60 different countries they were coming. But Baha'is are like brother and sisters together, and that is not a difficult thing. But for workers and contractors was a real challenge. So that was a major task. Lowering of Hatzianut Street was one of our major problems, that the main artery of the city, that we are going to lower it by 5 meters. I told you what is happening under the streets is better. You don't know what's happening under the streets, because there are really complications. You have hundreds of thousands of cable lines, telephone lines, electricity, water, storm water, drinking water, rainwater, the sewer lines, all of that passes there. And at the same time, working in a site so close to very important holy places and holy monuments that vibration of the mountain could damage them. For example, the shrines on Monument Garden, shrines of Greatest Holy Leaf, shrines of Munira Khanum, shrines of Purest Branch, Mother of Abdul Baha, Nawab Khanum, all of that were very delicate. These are buildings, all marble, very, very fragile, very delicate, just columns, marble columns, that's all. And this vibration of the mountain, which we are excavating with tens and I don't know how many of big diggers and excavation and blasting and cutting, it was something very. These buildings of the Ark are going down into the mountain, sometimes by 10 floors. Imagine the amount of excavation. Imagine that we have to frame the mountain, stop it from movement, because this mountain constantly is moving. And the rocks are always trying to go toward the sea. Water, underground water is constantly going that way. So the mountain is moving gradually. Now you're going to build buildings that are sitting their back to the mountain. So the mountain can push the buildings. They have to be rock anchor into the mountain and stop this movement and cracks. When I went to, as far as terraces is concerned, when I went to Israel, I visited a promenade. It's called Khas Promenade. And it was something that it's very similar to our terraces as far as the landscape is concerned. It's just on slope of the mountain in Jerusalem. I went and I saw it. It was very beautifully done at that time, and it was good. But when I was coming out of Israel, that complex was almost full of cracks and openings and movements, because as I told you, the mountain is moving, the slope is moving. And with that, all of their terraces, landscape, staircase has moved. While our terraces right now, it's exactly from 2000 up to now 20 years. Some of them are even 30 years that are on the mountain. You don't see one crack or one movement. So these were challenges, or our buildings that are the strongest. The buildings of the Ark sit on earthquake fault. So they are in serious danger in case of earthquake. I had gone to an underground tube line that used to go under the Mount Carmel, and it was when we went there, it was abandoned, closed. Now they have opened it partly because of the cracks on the tunnel, under the tunnel, and that tunnel was so scary. I mean, when we went there, rarely anybody would go because it can collapse. And so you could see the cracks of the earthquake on the mountain that has practically split the tunnel, things like that. Now, all of these are important. Now, Hatjanut Street was a three-lane street. Three-lane streets. 2 lane in one direction, 1 lane in another direction. We wanted to make it 4 lane, and we wanted to lower it 5 meters in one point, maximum, starting from 0, going to 5 meters. And this was something that was really challenging. We had prepared a program that was like a chess game, that you move this, then the other things will be moved, and then you move this, then you can move the other. Exactly like chess game, with almost 100 operations. And all of that was coordinated with the specialists in the city. We had to propose the idea, and they would check and criticize and ask questions and say, what about this, what about that, what about that? And you have to answer all of that. And we did all of that, and we started working. We started working on, and now the work is going on with full force on the buildings of the Ark and full force on the terraces. And now we want to lower the street in order to bridge the over it. Now, let me show you. Look at, this is Hatzianut Street. Look at the top when the width of the street is normal. Now here we have added one more lane. You see here, this is one lane and this is another lane, and these two are two lanes that we are going to add to that. Of course, in this period, we don't have any walkway, everything is things. So look, we always allow two lanes to go. This lane is going up the slope and this side is coming down the slope. Now, so these two lanes are open always, and then we are trying to lower the line in between while we are using one line for our equipment and material to stand on that and lower on the other section. And we are building here a huge building for the Office of Public Information and Office of Security that will be eventually under the bridge. That means this will be one of our terraces at the top of this, and then there will be a bridge here this side. So this is happening right now, and it shows that how, look at this, this is the lane that is one up, and these are the lanes that are being excavated to go down. And there is one lane on your right side on here, and that is something else. And this is the building under construction that is going there. Now, when we are working on this, we have to create one concrete wall, a temporary wall, New Jersey barriers on the side of the road in order to safeguard that the cars will not fall in the excavation. This is just beginning of excavation going down. This is not yet, it has not gone down, but it's supposed to go at this point, right at this point, it's supposed to go 5 meters down. Right now, it's about maybe 2 meters down. And then all along this, our property, we are building a huge canopy that eventually under it, there will be pedestrian, and at the top, our garden, because this is the boundary of our garden, and we want to keep it that way and have it that way. And so, yes. So now here you can see again that we are a bit ahead. We are now lowering, we are building this, this part, we are lowering now this part, the line. This operation was going on. One day I was, and then we started at the same time to prepare temporary structure for the bridge over here, for the bridge. This is now, you can see the bridge. The height under the bridge, under normal circle, it would be 5 meters at when it is complete. But now that we are constructing the bridge, we have to have support under the bridge. We have to have structure and all of that and support. So we have one line of columns supported right at the middle of the road. It's supporting the bridge. And we have one line. At the moment right now, you can see that both lines of traffic are on the left side. One line is going this way, one line is going this way. and here we are lowering. But now, at the time that one day I was at, when we are building the bridge, the height under the bridge is, the clear height is about 3 meters, 3.5 meters in some places, not 5 meters. And because, as I told you, you see that this street is very steep slope. Coming down, it has very steep slope. Because of that, even today, after construction of all of these things, always it was forbidden for any truck, heavy truck, to come down from this street, because, and you know that the trucks, they have compressed brake, and by doing that, the brake gets hot, and if you are loaded heavily, then you cannot stop the car. The car will go out of control, and because of that, there are signs right at the top of this slope that you are not supposed to come down from this street. You can go up with the truck, but again, because we have here the height limit of 3.5 meters, no truck can go even from this side unless it goes through check up the height and all of those things. And if they right at this time, there was, at this period, they had to choose, the trucks should go from other roads, not from here. Now, one day at about 3 o'clock, 3:30 in the afternoon, I was going from my office that was right next to the shrine of Greatest Holy Leaf. I was going to visit the construction site. I came out of my office I wanted to go to the lower terraces. As I entered to the street, suddenly I saw a big chaos, noise, shouting, running, people are running toward the bridge and all of that. And I thought, oh my God, something is happening. I ran myself toward the bridge to see what is happening. This is the time I said 3:30. There was a school, even that school is now bought by us, and we are using it for Pilgrim Center. The bridge is, the school is here. There was a building here, there was a school. And we were also building a tunnel because we had, as a contribution to that school, that because, as I told you, some children had been hurt by passing through this street because of that hunch that was existed on that building. I told you that blind spot that we wanted to remove by lowering of the street. We're building a tunnel under this road, crossing from this side of the street to this side of the street. So you can just come in and go to the school. Right now, that tunnel is being used only by our own pilgrims, because that school is now Pilgrim House, visitor center for pilgrims to see each other. The name of the Pilgrim House, still Old Pilgrim House in Shrine, has that name because that was the name of that building from the time of Abdul Baha. But now this building is called Pilgrim Center or Visitor Center. Anyhow, so because there was a school here, at 3:30, all of the parents have come and they parked their car on the side of the school, which we were not lowering. They were parking on that side, and they were waiting for their children to come. And that time, the street is in full, really problem, full activity. Now, as I ran into the bridge, I saw, oh my God, there has been an accident. I went under the bridge, and I saw a hill of gravels, broken stones, a hill of gravels, and a bloody body laying on it. Oh my God, I couldn't think about that. My God, it's a catastrophe. although that, so why, but I see just a hill of gravels, no truck. I don't see any truck. Then I was thinking, and then at the same time, ambulances, they came, and the laborers were all there. Now we were building also this wall on the side of this bridge with lots of scaffolding, and almost about maybe 50, 40 Turkish masons from Turkey. They were building the stone wall on that side. They were building the stone wall. And so I thought this accident could have killed, I don't know, maybe 40, 50 people. And it's so catastrophic. Then the ambulance came and they took this body that was certainly unconscious, no movement, full of blood, and they took him out and they went. And then I tried to find out what is happening, what is the situation. And I understood that a truck of the municipality, not us, a truck of the municipality decides, I don't know why, because of useless driver, to come down from this mountain where it's forbidden. There's a sign there that it's absolutely forbidden. You go down. He decided to come down, and as is coming down the hill, he loses its brake. The brake is hot, loses the brake. Now imagine, we have this bridge, all temporary structure, lots of steel and work and formwork, and I don't know, maybe $500,000 work, all completely in danger because they are still temporary. All of the supports are temporary. At the middle of the road, we have put temporary columns. Later on, when we built the bridge, there is no column. The bridge is all open, but we have those columns. Now this truck, huge, heavy truck, is coming down. What is going to happen? If the truck comes straight from the road, if it comes straight from this side, it's going to hit the bridge. Hit the bridge, I don't know, maybe burst to pieces or blast. The truck can blast by itself because of fire or whatever, and the bridge will be damaged. All of our steel structure will be damaged. $500,000 at least we will lose, if not $1 million amount of work and labor and all of that in that we will lose. And if the truck goes toward the wall, is going to hit all of that scaffolding that is happening, scaffolding that is there, and those 100 workers, 50 workers on the scaffolding, they are going to be killed. If the truck decides to go on the other side, on this side, is going to come, because this side we have already excavated 5 meters, the truck will go down and will come and hit the all of those parents that they have. Some of them have picked their children. They are in the cars sitting, waiting for the other cars to move so that they go. So many of children will get killed. God knows what will happen. And the truck is going to fall in the tunnel because we have already excavated it. It's falling in that. And then what will happen is, I don't know, it's going to burst. It's going to blast. What will happen? I could not even imagine. So now, what you can do? We need a miracle, nothing else. Nothing can help this other than a miracle. Now, look at that. This is the scaffolding that I'm telling you that is supporting all of this stonework, masonry work here, and the workers are working behind it on that wall. When I came here, I could not see a truck. I saw the gravel on one part, and with that man was the driver, had fallen from the car, because look at the room of the room of the driver. that here. These are the front tires. This is the back tire. Separate. There is no truck. The pieces. What has happened? I could not work it out. What has happened? Then I found that the truck that comes with that speed comes down exactly like James Bond movies, that goes on the barrier and turns back and comes on the edge. It goes on side. You have seen it on James Bond films. And the truck turns, and as it runs by the speed on this road, get cut to pieces. And by the time that it reaches to the bridge, it passes from the bridge, like here. By that time, it's only some pieces. And I immediately, now they have taken the body, I have asked immediately our contractors to investigate the extent of damage. They came, everyone, they said, there is no damage. There is no damage because there was no truck. There were pieces. Nothing has happened. Finally, they told me that only some drop of oil from the car has splashed on the stone. That was washed the same day. We washed it with hot water and water pressure. We washed it. It's all gone. So I said, my God, that evening was all in the press, newspapers, that such an accident, this and that. And I was, of course, we were not responsible for this, but still, this is the shrine of the Bab. We are building a project. We want to win the trust and confidence of people. We want them to like it. We don't want to have a dead body here and all of that. I was so worried. I didn't know what to tell to the House of Justice. I mean, how all of these things is so really expected. But then next day morning, I called the hospital. We called the hospital. They said the driver was released. It was on some surface injury. They took care of it and he's released, has gone home. My God, all of these projects. Now, next day, as I was talking, my contractor engineers on the side of the road, I was going there to see and they were clearing the truck, the pieces, bits and pieces of truck. Look at everywhere. You can see that look at this. This is the fan of the truck. Look at I don't know. I mean, I can't make it out what is what, but all of these things. And so there is no damage to our wall. There is no damage to our tunnel. There was no damage to children. There was nothing. And the driver has gone. I heard that my Jewish contractor, the chief engineer of the contractor, was talking to another engineer, said that only the man could stand in front of 750 bullets, is referring to the martyrdom of the Bab, and then came down from the rope without one injury, could make such a miracle. Really, there was no possibility. Everything, I mean, whatever you think, it was impossible to see this situation. Now, this road was a very, very difficult, this work was very, very difficult work on that steep slope. Look at this is a concrete truck that has just rolled because of the slope. Look at this is almost a bulldozer with the tank wheels, you see, because on that mountain, only this kind of tanks, belts can go up. Or look at this huge tank truck that has collapsed and we had built several safety barriers all along the mountain so that if something rolls down, we'll be caught by those barriers. Because each of these stones that are here, if they go down, they can kill a driver in the car. It's so dangerous, and we cannot really, we cannot have such kind of accidents. All of these, look at this. This is a mobile crane that has crashed, has collapsed, rolled down. Because on these slopes, some of these slopes are 45 degrees, 50 degrees slope. How you want to do it? It's impossible to anyhow, this was one of the incidents that I wanted to tell you. That's on that horrible slope happened, and thanks Baha'u'llah, we were protected, and the driver went back to his work. Only the truck was destroyed. That was covered by insurance anyhow, and we did not have even $1 loss, $1, or it could have been few $1 million, and litigations and really bad name for such a important project that we wanted to be the project of hope and love for the people of Haifa. Now, I tell you another story. It's very interesting because the Mount Carmel is the mountain, the country of Israel is a desert country. If you look at from the air, you can see the whole area. There are deserts. There are Negev desert in Israel. You can see that hot, tough, rough desert. All of these areas, all of the neighbors that are Arab countries, if you look, they are just black and just chalk white and lime. So it's just black and white. When you look it from the sky, it's all black and white. When you see Israel, it becomes suddenly green. But all of that is because of tremendous amount of irrigation, really art and work that they have done, that hard work that they have done. Water is number one problem of Middle East. In my opinion, it will be the last most important problem of the Middle East. Not only the Middle East, entire world, because the water is scarce. Right now, the drinking water in most of the countries of the world is, I told you that in India, the water level of our temple has gone down by more than 20 meters from the time that I was there. 20 meters, imagine. We had in all over Israel, there were wells, tube wells. At the time of Abdul Baha, there was a well inside the master's house. And that Abdul Baha used to pump it with hand himself. And you have so many stories about that, to pump water. And I told you that when Abdul Baha was building the gardens of the shrines of the Bab, he was using the rainwater of the roof of the shrine, was collecting it in a water tank and doing these things. And really, from all over, the consumption of water is so restricted and under control. Right now, all of the underground waters of Israel are not usable because of the pollution, because of the chemicals that has leaked into the water and all of that. And the water is often also salt water because of being near the ocean. There was a serious drought in Israel, and now we are building a garden with so much area that needs, of course, I mean, our design was based on drought resistance plants, major, but the central part and this, we need water, we have to have that one. And this was going serious. And they, in the newspapers, they wrote that very soon use of water will be forbidden for the gardens. Thanks God, people of Israel, they were so supportive of our projects. In a couple of national newspapers, they published a page of the mountain of Mount Carmel, Shrine of the Bab, and all the gardens and all of the terraces. And with the help of computer, they showed that all of the garden is dead. And they published it, and they said, "Is this what you are wishing to have in our city?" Anyhow, it was a serious matter. But because I was worried about the water, I tried from the beginning to. I had employed a consultant from Technion, a professor that was very distinguished about water resources. And I was consulting with him about the water regularly about this. But we were going on till the time that this drought happened and all of that. And then I was very seriously worried that what will happen to this. At the same time, you have seen the photograph of the shrine from the time of Baha'u'llah, time of Abdul Baha, that the mountain is all dry, rocks and some bushes, very rough bushes that they don't want any water. And the whole mountain is dry, other than one circle of those green cypress trees that are there. And in some of the Baha'i books, we read that they were there when Baha'u'llah was there. But beloved guardian have not said such a thing. And what we read in the writings of beloved guardian, he has said the circle of the trees which mark the location that Baha'u'llah stood. This means they were planted later by Abdul Baha. I don't know. I have tried to find out about this matter, but many books that we have, they say that those trees were there at the time of Baha'u'llah. But my research from German Templar record is that none of them, they recall such kind of circle in that. And in any case, it looks very unusual that, because without having a street there, why circle of trees were planted there. In my opinion, it's possible that because beloved guardian was very careful about those statements. If he said that these are the trees that marks the location of Baha'u'llah stood, and he doesn't say sat. In some of the books that say that Baha'u'llah sat there and all of that. And this is a matter that our scholars should search for it. So far, my documents, unfortunately, my dear friend, Mr. Grossman, passed away. He had done some research about that, and unfortunately, after his passing, I could not have access to his notes. I don't know whether he had reached to some conclusion or not. But now my point is that that mountain was dead and dry and nothing was there. So now we want to have all of these things and and really how the efforts of beloved guardian to green that part of the shrine and all of that is really a very important part of our history. I hope one day, I told you, beloved guardian himself writes, he said, Mr. Giageri writes in his book that he said that I'm so sad that not even the closest members of my family realized how much I suffered and how much I struggled to make this garden beautiful like that. It's something that really in the future will be discovered. Now, but right at this time that I was worried about the water and all of that, my dear friend, Dr. Rasikh, that has been my really Ustad, my guru, and my teacher during my life, same as all other Baha'is, wrote a letter to me and sent me a memoir of one of the Baha'is that lived at the time of beloved Abdul Baha. And he said that today Abdul Baha was talking about the future terraces and all of that. And then he mentioned that there is a source of water on this mountain that is good enough to water entire mountain, entire garden of our shrine. And this is not yet discovered. It will be discovered in the future. This is what he said. Now, of course, that letter also talked about other things that beloved Abdul Baha has said. And I was very, but when I read this letter, I told to myself that now is the future. Abdul Baha says in future it will be discovered. Now is future. The best technology existing in Israel. We have magnificent water diviners. We have magnificent water departments. And why not we find out? So I tried I employed a company called Tahal, that they are #1 water company in Israel, and they are doing lots of water divining and all of those things, research about what to underground waters and so on. Of course, I knew that in Israel, use of underground water is forbidden by public. All the waters that exist belongs to the government. Government will take it out, will use it, and will distribute it among all the people. You cannot have the ownership of the water, but you have to get it from the government, which is fair, because otherwise one person would have had lots of water and others they didn't have. Now I knew this, but I said, Abdul Baha said there is such a source of water. Let us find their source of water, then we will think what to do. We started working with a company, with Tahal had geologists, and that they started analyzing everything, and they told me that, Mr. Saba, there is possibility of underground water here is very rare, because the mountain is full of cracks. These stones are full of cracks, and the water will run toward the water on the slope, runs toward the ocean. So it will not stand here on that slope. Why you should have water here? It will go to the mountain. But then I told them that, look, I mean, Abdul Baha has said such a thing, and we have to find out. You look, search. They were doing things and that. Eventually, one of their inspectors told us that, informed the company, that I told you about that fault, earthquake fault that has happened on Mount Carmel. And fault is when earthquake happens, layers of mountain are like these. One hard rock, soft rock, hard rock, soft rock, hard rock, soft rock, layer by layer. It's like this. When there is an earthquake, there is a crack, a split into the rock. So what will happen? Imagine that the hard rocks come and block the soft rocks. So they may create a dam in front of these things. This fellow said that if there is a source of water here, it should be in the line proximity of this fault. And it's very interesting. Another divine plan of God is that the earthquake fault that has happened on Mount Carmel, it's come all along the Hatshepsut Street. It comes down, but when it reaches to the Baha'i Gardens, it reaches to the shrine area, it splits to several, instead of one large crack, it splits and it becomes several small cracks, which some part of that is under the buildings of the Ark, one part of that is under the seat of the House of Justice, and some part of that is there, and some part of that are in the lower level, lower terraces. So they started digging experimental hole here, and they told me that they find on our lower terraces, and one area they have come to a very large collection of water that they think it's behind that crack, behind that wall. So the water that comes down the mountain, it reaches to this dam, it slows. Eventually we'll find a way to go. But a big amount of that stands here waiting to go, to pass, and then it builds up, There is this kind of thing. There is such a thing. Now, another strange divine thing that happened is that I told you that I was working with a structural engineer, with a professor of water resources in University of Technion. This gentleman was a very outspoken critic of the government. And often I would read his articles in the newspapers that he was blaming the government, why you are not doing anything to preserve water and to create source of water for future, because it's going to be a catastrophe for Israel. Very soon we do not have water. Our only source of water is the Tiberias, and the Tiberias can go down and this and that. And there is on the Tiberias, Lake Tiberias, that there is sweet water, and it's the main source of drinking water in Israel. There is a sign, they have marked the heights, and they have a red line that they say under no circumstances water should go below this, because when you start pumping the water of the lake, it goes down. But they say it should never cross this red line, because when it crosses this red line, the amount of the fungus in the water, algae in the water, will suddenly increase, and the water will not be drinkable. So the quantity of water should not go below certain quantity. And that is the red line. And when we were in Israel, couple of times, the line went below the red line by few meters. And this is really alarming to the people of Israel, and it's very important. Now, in one of these catastrophic things that would happen, the government appointed, right at the time that we are doing these things, government appointed that professor of Technion University as the water commissioner of Israel. Water commissioner of Israel, the man that has the full authority, final authority about the water. So this was a wonderful opportunity. I immediately contacted him. He was our friend. He used to work for us, come and go and all of that. I told him that I have to come and meet you. He said, come. I went to his office. I don't remember whether it was in Tel Aviv or in Jerusalem. We went there and met him. And we told him that you are our consultant. You have worked for all of this. You know that we did our best to find the water. And then now, if we do not have water for all of these terraces, all of this effort will go. So please help us, what we can do. He said, yes, I think I know that you have done so much effort, you have spent so much money, you have worked on that, and I will support you. Have you found a location that you have water? I said, yes, we have the location. He officially granted us a permit to drill a well in this area and use it for our gardens. Because this means we will not use this city water, and as a result, the people will get more water, and we have this water. So in this way, we did that. We dug our well, and we reached to the water that Abdul Baha had said, and that water is so magnificent. Of course, it should be filtered because of the chemical that has gone down. It should be filtered, but we have designed filtration system, and it's doing that. It's so beautiful. And one of the reasons people, they say how these gardens are so green and so nice, because the water that we are using is much, much better and free from pollution than any other water in that things. And we are using this at the moment. Our intention is to use this water fully only when there is emergency. But meanwhile, we use half of the water from this water and half of the water from our quota from the municipality. And this is what we are doing. And this was a beautiful, really blessing of, this is something that Abdul Baha had said, and Dr. Rasikh wrote it to me. And I think it's so important. This story tells me that it's time that we think that future that Baha'u'llah talked about, that future that Abdul Baha talked about, and that future that beloved guardian talked about is now. Is now. That is really important. I think we should do it. And I believe that this will let us go all to the magnificent victories. When we are sure we do it, and we think, we just started thinking that if Abdul Baha had said such a thing, it should be there. Why he should say this? Why he should tell to the friends that there is such a source in this water. In future, they will discover it. In the same day that he said these things, how beautiful will be these terraces, how beautiful will happen. And then he says, I see that today with my own eyes, but you don't see. You cannot see it. Then he said, we will see it in future from Abha Kingdom. All of us, we will see it. And it's all right now on that mountain. And it's so gorgeously green and beautiful. My time is over. Thank you.